This is going to be a series where we interview a TICS athlete that is qualified for the Rio de Janeiro Games, which is set to kick off in 170 days from today. So this month, our February athlete is going to be 10th in the world ranked for the 400 meter hurdle, Wenda Nel. So welcome, Wenda, and thank you so much for joining us. Looking back at 2015 athletics for South Africa in particular, a big moment that stood out was the Beijing World Champs in August. I mean, I remember sitting on the edge of my couch and watching, South African athletes like Wade van Niekerk cross the line as a gold medalist, or Anaso Jabodwana across the finish line second behind Usain Bolt. And that was just incredible for me. So these guys that achieved are within your social circle. How does it inspire your own personal ambitions to see what they achieved?
I must say 2015 really was an exciting year for South African athletics. A lot happened, and I'm excited to see what is to come in the following year. For me personally, they really inspire me a lot. Sometimes you feel, can I get through this, or do I have enough guts to show, or whatever goes through your mind before a race. And I think the guys really stood up, and they've been an example, not only to me, but to all our fellow athletes in South Africa. So I think it's really a big motivator and something I aspire to achieve.
You initially said before the World Champs that your goal was to make a spot in the final. So you did achieve a spot in the final. You ran 54.94 seconds and you finished in 7th. Were you satisfied with your results?
It's kind of a bittersweet feeling. Yes, I was satisfied. From the beginning, my main goal was to run in the final. Whatever happens there happens. I knew there's still a lot of work to be done to really achieve that podium spot, but you never know. I went into the final excited, and I was happy to achieve the final. But if I look at my time, I would have wanted to achieve something slightly better. But then also on the other hand, going through the 3 rounds, I was satisfied achieving 3 sub 55 seconds.
Yeah.
So all in all, yes, I was happy.
Okay. And then I just have always known the name Shamia Little. She finished in, I think it was 2nd place or 3rd place, and she finished with a time of 53.94 seconds. So that's just 1 second ahead of your time. So what does 1 second mean to you? Is that doable, or is that quite intimidating?
1 second in 400 hurdles can be quite a far distance. For me, I do have personal goals to eventually achieve sub 54 seconds. So if I rather go to my personal best, 54.3, it's a bit closer to 53.9. So it's a bit more motivating than to think, okay, I ran 54.9 and then compare that to a 53.9. So I do believe it is achievable for me, and it's also another motivator to see that, okay, the athletes, they do run that, but I do feel after I've been in the final, I can compete against them.
Okay, I saw you retweeted quite a powerful statement, and it said, "The will to win means nothing without the will to prepare." So everyone that's embarking on this Road to Rio journey has their own, certain kind of preparation, their own road that they have to walk. So what is your Road to Rio in terms of preparation?
I'm going to do a few local meets in South Africa, and then the national championships will be the biggest one. That is part of our planning for races for the year. And then from there I will go into Europe to do some stronger competitions, compete against some of the best that I've done last year. And then all in all, it's just to stay motivated, go to the track every day, keep the head up high, believe in yourself, just take every session as if it is your last, and just do your best to the ability that you can. So I think my Road to Rio is an exciting one. I feel excited about it, and I've got the support to carry me through the year. So I'm really looking forward to what can be accomplished.
So these meets now, the national meets and your time in Europe, is that to set new times, like new qualification times, or now that you've already qualified, is that just to gain experience?
It will be mainly just to try and stay in form, to get race fit and get the experience as well. But it's also, you incorporate the races within your training plan to see where you are at, to kind of execute what you've done in training to see if it works. So it's more like a training run. I will see the races more as a training run to see where I'm at and to use that for build up for the Rio Games.
Something else I saw you retweeted was a scripture verse about perfect timing. So I thought about that, and not even on a spiritual level, I think that most athletes can identify with that sense of perfect timing. I remember I interviewed a Carney last year before he had run a sub 10, and he was just patiently waiting for the time his body was ready to run. So is there any specific goal that you have that you're just waiting for the perfect time, to achieve?
I think in hurdles it's always interesting. We usually tease each other in the hurdle training group, saying that yes, we run for maybe that 1 out of 10th race that's perfect. So there's so much that can go wrong in a hurdle race. It's very technical. Stride pattern should be perfect. So yes, I recently more often I have a closer to perfect race than in the past. So I do believe that there's a really perfect one still waiting out there for me. For me, the perfect one will be to have a peak in the Olympic final, breaking the South African record, something like that,
yes,
and get on that podium. So that will be my perfect time.
Perfect time.
So, but we know it doesn't always work that way, and we try to condition the body so that to get too close to that perfect timing as possible.
In an interview I read that when you achieved your personal best last year in May of 54.37 seconds, you finally realized that you had what it takes to compete against the best in the world. So with that realization, I thought, it comes with immense pressure. Like you said, your stride patterns and stuff. There's so much pressure on what could go wrong or keep you, from achieving that realization. So when there's all this pressure and challenges and probably many disappointments, how do you cope? What's your coping mechanism?
It is an interesting question. There's a lot that, like I've mentioned, that can go wrong in a competition or in the race. For me, I am quite a very spiritual person. I'm a Christian, so my faith is quite important to me, and that is the number one thing that I usually turn to, that calms me, and I just pray and listen to gospel music that just kind of calms me. So that will be the main thing. But other than that, I just try to stay in a routine so that I can relax and do the same thing that I've been doing previous times. So for me, that will be the two most important things.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So after a competition or world championship like Beijing last year, you must be mentally and physically exhausted when it's finished. So how do you recharge, or how have you recharged before entering a year like this where you're preparing for something as big as Rio?
It can be tough at times. After Beijing, I must say I was quite mentally drained and physically as well a little bit. It takes more out of you than you actually want to admit to.
Yes.
So usually we will rest for a few weeks, just recover the body, stay off the track, maybe just do some interesting other type of conditioning training. Also not every day. I will take off for about 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then in that period you use also the time to recharge and get the motivation back and set new goals for the coming year. And then usually it worked out that I was, after the 4 weeks, I'm ready to
take on the new challenge.
Yes.
I had an interview with Henny Creel last year. He's Henry Cobranke's coach, and we spoke about how the road to Rio is the road to South Africa becoming the best sprinting nation in the world. Because he gave me this fact, and I am under correction, but South Africa is one of 3 sprinting nations next to Jamaica and the USA to have records in a sub 10, sub 20 and sub 44 second time. So this road to South Africa becoming the best sprinting nation in the world, how do you hope to contribute to this movement and moment in history?
It is an interesting fact, and I'm very excited about that as well, because it puts South Africa kind of on the map for the Rio Games. And I do believe our guys have a lot of potential to even better on the records and the times that's been set thus far. For me, 400 hurdles can also be seen as a sprint. So I would like to better my time and even break some records if possible, to contribute to the history of South Africa. But for me, it's also more a personal game. I enjoy the sport. I love what I do. Every time I step onto the track, it's just the joy that comes out, the talent that I've been given, and I want to fulfill that to the best of my ability. So sometimes, it's also important not to just focus on the records or the medals and things like that, but really enjoy and think about the difference that you can make as a person with the sport that you are doing.
So it's obviously a very special time for all South African athletic supporters this year. You know, we've seen what our guys can do, but I think even more so for us Tuks supporters, you know, to see you perform next to all these big names and stuff and know that you're part of Tuks is like huge for us. So how does it feel to represent Tuks? I know we feel this way when we watch.
It is a special moment, I must say. For me, apart from my big sponsor Nike, I'm also sponsored by the HPC and by Tuks. So I really appreciate all the support that's behind the athletes, and especially for myself as well. So for me, it's really a special moment whenever I can represent my country, knowing that it's not just my country, but I'm also representing my club, which I've been part of since I've started my studies after school. So it's something special, and I put a lot of value into that, and having the opportunity to be part of Tuks and representing Tuks.
And my last question is, the IAAF standard to qualify for Rio was 56.2 seconds. So you've explained to me before the interview that SASCARC has the same qualification time. Is that time subject to change, or now that you've qualified, could 3 other hurdle athletes, you know, take your place suddenly before? Is your spot not guaranteed? How does this whole thing work?
I do believe that is the standard that they will use, although there's always some room for change. But I'm confident, and I believe that I've qualified this far. I just need to show form in this season, and I do believe the training is on track, so I will be able to do that. And even my goal is to be in the final, so I don't want to put too much focus on have I qualified or haven't I, stress about that. I know I'm in the shape to qualify and to go to the Rio Games. So I think in South Africa at the moment there's not a lot of female hurdle athletes that are close to the qualifying standard. So it will be very nice if South Africa can take 3, which they are allowed to do. So we'll see. It can turn out, it can turn into an interesting season. So we'll see if there's more females that can reach the standard.
We will be seeing you at Rio. That's a definite. So I'm very excited for that then. So thank you very much, Wenda, and just know that the Padda Bay team is supporting you, and we wish you all the best, and we really believe in the potential and what you can do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.